What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. Welcome back to the Home Gaming channel. Today's video, a couple days ago, I made the best loadouts and star cards for all infantry classes, including enforcers and, all that jazz. So today's video is going to be very similar. It's going to be the best star cards for heroes and villains. Thought this would be a cool video for anyone. Battlefront 2 is blowing up right now. I know there are a ton of new players. So for any of you new players who are maybe looking for the best star cards, I know some of the star cards can look very confusing as far as the wording. It's like, what nerd came up with this? But this will just be a quick video showing you what I personally think are the best star cards. Maybe you think something different, but I know these have worked really well for me, and I think I'm a pretty decent player as far as my gameplay videos and stuff like that. So anyway, let's just get right into it. Starting off at number 1, yes, I am looking at these on my TV right now because I am too lazy to write it all down, so I'll just be looking at it here. But starting off with Boba Fett, the cards I use is the first one, Quick Refill. This Boba Fett's jetpack fuel refills faster when not being used. So basically, it's just once you run out of fuel, you'll get back in the air very quickly. The other two cards I use is Born to Fly. Boba Fett's abilities cooldown are faster while in the air, but his health regeneration starts 1.5 seconds later. Really, that health regeneration, I mean, it's 1.5 seconds. It's really not going to mess you up. And I really like, this means while you're in the air, your abilities are going to recharge 20% faster. So I just really like having my abilities for Boba Fett available as much as possible because of his low amount of health. And then the other one I use is Fuel Efficiency. Basically, his jetpack fuel will run out slower while you're flying, so it burns slower. So again, similar to the first card, with these two cards available, you can basically be flying the entire game, to be honest, which is really good because Boba Fett, definitely you want to stay in the air as much as possible. So yeah, those are the best star cards for Boba Fett, especially in HVV. Moving on to Bossk. Our first star card we have is the Spreading the Disease. Basically, the Dioxis grenade for Bossk is wider and thicker. This is really good for Galactic Assault and Supremacy for clearing choke points. If you throw it in there, it's the cloud is so big that anyone anywhere close to where you throw that is going to be taking damage from that and either force them out or kill them. So it's a really good card. Bossk is great for just doing a ton of damage and getting you a ton of points. So I really like that card. Then moving on, I have multi-traps. Basically, Bossk throws out proximity mines, and normally he throws out 3. But with this card, he throws out 5, and the detonation area is bigger. So not only are you throwing out more bombs, this can pretty much take out heroes. If they walk in there, those 5 bombs explode. It will kill them when they have full health. They'll just instantly be dead or so low that you can kill them with 1 or 2 shots. So it's really good for HVV and of course really good for clearing out choke points in GA, and it keeps Bossk pretty protected. So even though Bossk doesn't have great firepower as far as his blaster, if you stay inside those mines and someone charges you, it will absolutely destroy them. And also, even if they're farther away, it will still kill them because it increases the detonation area. And then the other card I use for Bossk is another Dioxis. It's the Dioxis grenade will spew out smoke for a longer duration. So really, very straightforward. I like my Dioxis to be active as long as possible, and for it to be as big as possible so that I can get the most amount of damage and the most amount of points out of that. So those are the 3 cards I use for Bossk. Now, you can kind of switch out one of those for Ultimate Predator. Ultimate Predator is a really good card. It for every person you kill with Predator Instincts, which is, of course, the grenade launcher, it extends its duration. So that's really good for clearing out choke points, too. You could swap that out with the Lingering Dioxis. They're both really good cards. I switch out both of them, but yeah, those are the cards I use for Bossk. Moving on to Chewbacca, we have Bonus Health. This gives Chewbacca an extra 150 health, which is really good because Chewbacca is a really big target, so I want to have as much health as possible, and really that would be true for any character. I want to have as much health as I can. Then I use the Echoing Roar for every enemy Chewbacca defeats with Furious Bowcaster. That's his middle ability. it will extend its duration by 40%. So basically, if you're getting kills with this thing, you can just have this active for so long because it's increasing by almost half when you get 1 kill. So definitely a no-brainer card to use. I would definitely use this in GA when you're facing infantry. And then another great card for facing infantry is Slammed. Charge Slam deals bonus damage to enemies that are within half of its radius. So normally, the ground slam, it will kill people without any cards, but with this card, it will kill any infantry class if they're anywhere close to you. So I just really like this card for getting some multi-kills, clearing out choke points, stuff like that. It's just a really, really good card. Definitely a no-brainer, and I would definitely use it. Moving on to our next hero, we have Darth Vader. Darth Vader has a lot of really good cards. The cards I use is bonus health. This allows Vader to literally have over 1,000 HP. Not sure how that's legal, but it is. But that's the card I use. Then I use There Is No Escape. Basically, lightsaber throw travels farther. I really like just sniping kids with a lightsaber throw. Just being able to yeet it like 200 feet. I would definitely use this so you can get some extra kills. It's a really good card against infantry and even in HVV. And then I use Punishing Grip. This extends the choke time for Vader. It will one-shot assaults, officer, and specialist versus without any cards. The choke doesn't do that. So definitely a really good card to get some crazy multi-kills. Combine that with the saber throw and you can kill enforcers instantly pretty much. So definitely some really good cards there. Moving on to our next hero, we have Emperor Palpatine. Emperor Palpatine, I use Lightning Reach. I would definitely use this no matter what. Emperor Palpatine's lightning attacks have increased range. Basically, you can hit kids with lightning from a really long distance, which is really good for Palpatine because he has decent health, but not a ton, of course. So you want to kind of keep your distance. So this is a really good card for that because the farther away from heroes and, enemy infantry you can be, I would want to stay as far away as possible. Then I use Surge of Lightning. This allows Chain Lightning to bounce to more targets. So basically, instead of getting a maximum of like 3 kills with Chain Lightning, you can get like 7. So that's really good for some insane multi-kills and clearing out choke points, especially in GA and Supremacy. And then I use In Full Control. Emperor Palpatine's lightning attacks drain less stamina. This is really good for HVV. You can just drain lightsaber hero's stamina, and his stamina recharges a lot quicker and lasts a lot longer, so you can absolutely melt enemies' blocks with that. And it's just really good for GA because you can just constantly be doing your lightning attacks. Now, moving on to our next hero, we have Han Solo. The cards I use for Han Solo are Sharpshooter's Calm. Sharpshooter shots reduce less active time. So really, this is his middle ability, of course, where there is no... his blaster fires a lot quicker and there's no overheat. And I like to have this active for as long as possible so I can just clear out choke points. And it's really good for HVV as well. You can absolutely melt people with it. So that's the card I use there. Then this is definitely a no-brainer for Galactic Assault or Supremacy. I use Air Burst. Basically, the damage increase of the detonite charge goes up 20% if you blow it up in the air. So that's just where you throw it and you detonate it before it hits the ground. The detonation radius of this is insane. Like, even if people are really far away from the explosion, it will still kill them. And basically with this card, it will just one-shot any infantry or even some enforcers. So definitely a no-brainer card there. The next card I use is Heavily Modified Blaster. Basically, Han's DL-44 just builds less heat, so you can fire it even more than normal. Really like this card for both HVV and GA. Just really another no-brainer card. Really decent card. Nothing crazy, just I like to be able to, shoot his blaster as much as possible before I have to cool it down. Moving on to our next hero, we have Inversio. The cards I use for Inversio, definitely use this one, is Alternate Methods. Basically, Inversio can fire her secondary fire even more than normal. It increases it by 25%. So you can just pretty much be constantly firing your secondary fire, which is good for HVV because, of course, it goes through blocks, and it's really good for GA because you can just spam choke points with secondary fire and just destroy everyone. So it's a really good card. The other card I use is Cooled Blaster. Inversio's TL50 builds less heat when fired. Again, similar to the Han card I just talked about, it just builds less heat. Especially it's good with Iden, because that means you can fire secondary fire even more without having to cool down your blaster. And just because she has a fast firing blaster, I want to be able to, you know, spray and pray as much as I can with that type of play style. And then the other card I use, this is really good for GA, but definitely really good for HVV, acquiring targets. So Iden has a stun droid, of course, and basically it extends the area of effect when it's searching for a target. So even if someone's far away, you can still stun them with the droid, which is really good. Definitely really good for getting heroes off your back. If you're being, you know, full sent by a bunch of lightsaber users, you can just freeze them. Now, moving on to our next hero, Kylo Ren. I use Closing In. This extends, Kylo Ren can leap a longer distance when attacking with his Frenzy. So Frenzy is, of course, the middle ability. I like being able to leap as far as I can, so I can just press both bumpers and, like, jump 30 feet towards a guy and kill him instantly. It's just a really good card for closing the distance, which is, you always want to have cards that allow you to close the distance on infantry as much as possible, so that you're not just sprinting at them taking all that damage. Then I use Solid Freeze. It just increases the area of effect for freeze by 30%. Pretty much all of Kylo Ren's cards I use are increased area of effect for abilities, so that I can close the distance on infantry as quick as possible, so that way I can freeze people from farther away and then just close in. Usually the best combo is hitting someone with a freeze and then the frenzy. You can just clear people out. And then I use Power Reach. This increases the area of effect of Kylo Ren's pull. Again, another great ability for closing the distance. You can just bring them to you instead of taking all that damage while attacking someone. Moving on now, we have Lando Calrissian. I use Hot and Cold. This gives him an extra 150 health. Definitely very good. I want to always have as much health as possible for kill streaks and stuff like that. Then I use Maximize Efficiency. If Sharp Shot, the middle ability, hits 3 or more targets, the recharge time to the next one is reduced. Definitely a no-brainer card for GA, as pretty much every time you use that Sharp Shot, you're going to hit at least 3 people. So, really like to have that ability open as much as I can. Just recharges it a lot quicker. And then Wide-Eyed. Sharp Shot can target enemies at a longer distance. I like just sniping people with that aimbot ability. It's great, especially against infantry. You can just get tons of multi-kills without even having to get close to anyone. So, I would say Lando's definitely underrated. I think he's really good for kill streaks, but that's just me. Moving on to Leia, I use Fearless. This increases the blast radius of thermal detonators. I like being able to get, you know, as many kills as I can with the detonators. Really good for clearing out choke points. And of course, they go through heroes' blocks, so really good for HVV as well. Then I use Handy Device. This reduces the cooldown time of thermal detonators. So basically, you can be throwing thermal detonators pretty much all the time, which is really good. And then for Leia, I use Relentless Firing. This means it increases the time of the middle ability by 55%. The middle ability for Leia is, of course, the E11. So you can just be spraying the E11 for so long, it's actually ridiculous. You can just break people's stamina, like, so quickly, it's crazy. So those are the cards I use for Princess Leia. Moving on to Luke, we use Intensify. Now this is probably a more difficult card to understand, so I'm going to try and explain it. Basically, for every person you kill, your lightsaber damage starts to go up. So after like 10 kills, your lightsaber damage is going to be able to one-hit people. So normally the only way you can one-hit people is if you hit them in the back. Well, with this ability, after a couple kills, you can one-hit people no matter where you hit them, at least the infantry classes. So definitely a really good ability. I love using this for kill streaks in GA and Supremacy. You could swap it out for Jedi Fighter in HVV, which is a stamina drain decrease, where your stamina just goes down slower. I would use that card for HVV, but definitely use Intensify for GA and Supremacy. The other card I use is Extended Push Reach, basically the area of effect for Luke's force push is greater. This is good just because I normally like to jump and do my force push, so this way I can hit people and get bigger multi-kills and stuff like that, just because the area of effect is a lot bigger. And then I use strong repulse, which is very similar, just increases the area effect of repulse. So again, more multi-kills, more damage, all that good stuff. Definitely would use both of those cards no matter what for Galactic Assault and Supremacy. Moving on to our next hero, who do we have? Darth Maul. Darth Maul, he has a lot of really good star cards. The star cards I use is Fool Me Once. The recharge rate is faster for all of Darth Maul's abilities. So again, you're just getting those abilities back that much quicker. I really like that, especially in a person like Darth Maul where you want to constantly be moving. So because he doesn't have as much health. So definitely would use that card. Then the other card I use is Ranged Throw. Basically, his Saber Throw just goes farther. Again, I really like that because I don't have to close the distance on enemies. I can just, snipe them and not have to get close. And then the other ability I use is Accelerated Throw. That means that the lightsaber throw does even more damage. So that's really good to get guaranteed kills with the lightsaber throw instead of just damaging them. Again, I like both of those because you don't have to close the distance, and with a person like Darth Maul who doesn't have a ton of health, you want to get as many free kills as possible from as far away as you can. For Rey, I use Farsight. That means the ability Insight has an increased area of effect. I like that a lot because I can see anyone close to me through walls and all that good stuff. Definitely would use that. Very good for kill streaks and HVV. Then I use Focus Sight. This just means that the Insight ability is active for even longer. So basically, you can just have this ability active pretty much the whole time you're Rey because it has a really quick recharge. So definitely would use those two abilities because Insight is definitely an underrated ability in my opinion. Then I use Damaging Strike. This means Rey will deal more damage with Dash Strike. So normally her Dash Strike would not one-hit infantry, but with this card it will. So this is fantastic for just clearing out choke points, just getting a ton of multi-kills because it will one-hit people. Would definitely use those cards for Rey. Definitely really good against infantry. Moving on to Yoda. We have Unleashed. This means the area of effect of Unleash, the minimum size is a lot bigger. So, of course, with Yoda, as he gets shot, he absorbs, when he's blocking, that is. He absorbs the blasters and the area of effect of his force push gets bigger. But when he isn't getting shot, the size of his force push is really small. So with this card, even if you're not getting shot, you can still hit people from farther away, which I really like, just being able to press that, right away. Because I really don't like blocking and staying in one place for very long because you'll just get lasered. Because there'll most likely be people using, detonators and stuff that can hit you through block and people behind you. So you really don't want to be standing there blocking. Just a little tip. Don't stand in one place and just block and expect to survive. I would not rely on your block. The other star card I use for Yoda is Agility. This means Yoda can do one more dash attack. That's, of course, his right ability. Really like that because for people like Yoda, he's a very small target. You want to stay on the move as much as possible because, again, his health isn't as good as other heroes. So I really like that card so I can have 3 dash attacks at my disposal whenever I want. And then the other card I use is Feel the Force. Presence gives more bonus health when activated. So basically, this is Yoda's heal ability. When you tap it, it'll just give you more health. Really like that because Yoda doesn't have a ton of base health, so I want to be healed for as much as possible. Moving on to our next hero, we are nearing the end now. We have Finn. The cards I use are Stay Calm. This means for every enemy Finn defeats while Deadeye is active, it will extend its duration. Similar to the Chewbacca ability, just for every kill you get, it will extend the duration of that ability so you can use Deadeye for a lot longer. Definitely would use that. The other card I use is One Resistance. The recharge time of Big Deal is reduced. This just means that's his heal ability. When you heal teammates, you can use that ability again much quicker. Really like that for Finn because he doesn't have a ton of base health like Yoda, so I want to be able to heal as much as I can. And then the other one is raised to do one thing. Finn's Deadeye has a larger lock-on radius. This just means you can hit people with Deadeye from farther away. Really like getting snipe kills with that ability because, again, the ability is literally aimbot. So you don't even have to aim. So you can just be sniping people and not even trying, honestly. The next hero we have is Captain Phasma. I use the cards the more the better. The First Order Sentry Droid rotation speed is increased. This just means the droid for Phasma will lock on to enemies quicker. Really good card, really good for HVV, I would say. So I would definitely use that in HVV and in GA, but it's definitely better in HVV. This is a card much better in GA. This is Easy Shots. For every enemy Captain Phasma defeats with her blaster, its heat will be reduced. So basically, when you're killing infantry, you can fire your blaster more. Really, really good card for GA and HVV as well, but especially against infantry, because then you can just be spraying your blaster all the time. Then the other I use is Safety First. Captain Phasma gains more health when using Survivor. Again, just another ability that gives you a lot more health. I like to have as much health as I can because I play very aggressive. So those are the 3 cards I use for Phasma. Moving on, we have General Grievous. Now, these are really important. I would definitely use these no matter what. Beating Heart. General Grievous, again, the name of it is Beating Heart. General Grievous has increased maximum health regeneration. This gives Grievous's health regeneration an extra 100. This is really good for kill streaks and just staying alive. You just regen a lot more health. So you want as much health as you can as Grievous because he doesn't have as much stamina. He can't block for very long, so definitely, and he's a bigger target. So would definitely use those abilities. The other one I use is Sith Trained. General Grievous deals extra damage with his lightsaber. This means he can just one-shot infantry. No matter where you hit them, it just one-shots them. So definitely really good. You can just hit them one time, they're dead no matter what. So definitely a really good star card. And then also an HVV because you can kill heroes so much quicker. The other one I use is Lineup Weaklings. After one enemy has been hit, Grievous deals more damage with Claw Rush. This just means, similar to Rey's ability I talked about, with his Claw Rush, he will just one-hit infantry. Which you definitely want for some crazy multi-kills and just... there's really no point in using this card if you can't one-hit people, so... would definitely use Lineup Weaklings for some crazy multi-kills. Trust me, you will not regret using it. Now, these cards for Obi-Wan I use Quickened Focus. The charge-up time of all-out push is slightly shorter. That just means it will charge up much quicker. And then I use Give It All. All-out push has a longer base range. With these 2 cards, not only is the range of the push farther, but the charge-up time is shorter as well. So you will literally be able to snipe kids from like 50 feet away with Force Push and only take like a second to charge it up. Definitely a no-brainer. Get some crazy multi-kills. Really good for closing the distance because you can hit people from really far away. Definitely would use those cards. And then the other card I use is Forward. Defensive Rush, lightsaber hits deal more damage. Very similar to the Grievous and Rey abilities I was talking about. This just allows his rush attack to one-hit people. So again, crazy multi-kills, a must-use in my opinion in GA and Supremacy. So those are the cards I use for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now we're down to the last 4. We have Count Dooku. The cards I use are Sith Control. Count Dooku has increased maximum health regeneration. Again, his regeneration goes up by 120 health. Definitely really good. You can be down to like literally 1 health and regen up to like 400. So that's a must-use in my opinion for any game mode, just for staying alive. Then I use Finesse. This is just reduced stamina. So it just takes a lot longer for Dooku to run out of stamina. Definitely a really good card, especially in HVV. And then I use the Balanced Duelist. This reduces the recharge time of Duelist. Very straightforward, just you can use Duelist a lot more. Now, you could swap out one of these cards for Masterful Duelist. This increases the damage of Duelist. I wouldn't do that in GA or Supremacy. There's really no point because your Duelist is going to one-hit people anyway. But in HVV, I would definitely use it because you can just like 3-hit people with Duelist. So definitely a really good card as well. Moving on to Anakin Skywalker, the cards I use are Tenacious. Just gives him 100 more health, want to have as much health as I can. Then I use Attraction. The pull dominance has greater range. This is Anakin's Force Pull. Again, I really like this because I can pull enemies from really far away and get them close instead of having to close the distance on them and take that damage. Definitely a must use. And then I use Raw Strength. This increases the damage of Heroic Might. This just means you will one-hit infantry with Heroic Might. Really good for killing infantry and getting multi-kills. So would definitely use those 3 cards. Now, the last 2 heroes, the BB units, we have BB-8. The cards I use are Self-Repairs. This gives him more health regeneration. Really good card for kill streaks and everything like that and just staying alive. Then I use Head First. This increases the damage of BB-8's rolling charge, his shoulder charge, you know. This means it will one-hit any infantry, including heavies. So, it will one-hit anything. Definitely a fantastic ability. And then I use Whirlwind. Both damage and area effect of Cable Spin are increased. This is a must-use in my opinion. Not only will you kill people a lot quicker with Cable Spin, but also it's a bigger radius, which means a lot more, bigger multi-kills. So I would definitely use that card no matter what. Moving on to the last BB unit, we have BB-9E, the worst hero in Battlefront 2 in my opinion. He's really bad. But if you do play him, which I wouldn't suggest it, I would use the cards Full Reconstruction. BB-9E has increased health regeneration. Again, more health regeneration is always good. Then I use Hardy Exhaust. The radius of smoke screen is increased. And then I use... what do I use? Oh, I use Spin Me Round, which increases the cooldown of... blah, 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 increases the cooldown of that ability, that middle ability, and it throws people farther. But yeah, I'm exhausted from talking this much. Those were all the best star cards for all the heroes and villains in Battlefront 2. Hope you enjoyed. If you like Battlefront 2 and you like Battlefront 2 videos, make sure to check out my other videos I make. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.